heard your stomach rumble there. You need to have breakfast.
Sorry, have we started?
I expect so.
Okay, did we start with you going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
No, we started with your stomach.
The sound of my stomach. Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Have you had breakfast?
Well, I've had coffee.
That doesn't count as breakfast,
Don't really do... You know this. You know I don't do breakfast.
Well, you do, but a little bit later.
Yes, exactly. It's called tea.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, here we are in the same room. That's the only way that I noticed this thing.
Had I been staying in your house, then maybe I would have had breakfast because you could have forced it upon me. But as you know, what happens is yesterday I rang you to say, Simon, I don't suppose there's any chance that I can stay in your attic.
And it turned out there wasn't.
And you said, no, it's got an Australian in it.
Australian from California.
So how can they be an Australian from California?
Originally from Australia, moved to California.
Oh, okay, fine.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Then that kills that joke. Stone dead in that case. Fine. Okay.
What was the joke?
No. It's just I thought that would be, you know.
Why are we in a room anyway? Why are we here?
We're here because after we record the show here, we're going to do take 1 now. We're going to do take 2.
Yes.
Then we're going to take Ultra.
Yes, live.
Live.
Just like this.
Just like this. And then I'm going to fly like the wind from here to Gatwick Airport to go to Nice because I'm going to Cannes. And I'm going to Cannes.
You use the C word.
Yes, I know the C word. And I'm going to Cannes because it is the premiere tomorrow night. What is tonight? Wednesday, so Thursday. So by the time you're listening to this tonight, of the director's cut of Ken Russell's The Devils, which is finally being released. And as you know, I was kind of involved in finding some of the missing scenes, and we've been trying to get it released for ages. Anyway, it's finally happening. So the premiere is tomorrow night in the Salle Benwell at 9:15.
In the evening or the morning?
In the evening.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you could do 9:15 in the morning for The Devils.
But in Cannes, they do show movies all the time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they show this.
So in your carrier bag, your on bag, your rucksack,
just out there.
What do you take to go to a thing at Cannes?
I've got my suit because you have to wear a black tie apparently, but I don't have black tie.
High heels? Do you have to have high heels still?
There was a whole year in which there was the protest because they said that women had to wear high heels, and so I know, just ridiculous.
How much? It's like that sounds like something from the 50s.
I know, and so the way that that all the women protested was they all went up barefoot. They literally, even if they had heels, they took them off and walked up the carpet barefoot as a protest, which was quite right. So yes, I'm going to do that, and then that's going to finish around about midnight, and then I'm on the first flight out on Friday.
So are you ignoring the nightlife of Cannes?
Yeah.
What about having a dip in the sea?
No.
Why not?
Well, have you been to Cannes?
Yes.
Have you been to Cannes when the festival's on?
Not that festival. I mean, when another festival has been on.
What other festival?
TV, selling TV. We were selling the Itch TV show, and
I didn't know this.
The places were full of representatives of TV companies around the world. So you go and sit next to some oik, and you say, "This is a very good show," and they go, "Oh, really? Why?" You go, "Well, because of all these reasons." Okay, thanks. Next.
Did you have any meetings on yachts?
All the meetings were as short as Wes Streeting going to see Keir Starmer, which by the time this goes out might have become hugely important.
Yeah. But did you have any yacht meetings, or were they all in tents or in cubicles?
They were all in hotel lounges.
Okay, fine. Okay.
That kind of thing.
And whilst you were there,
yes,
did you go swimming?
I think so, because the weather was really, really nice, and we were staying in a nice hotel, and they had their own beach, so we went down and...
The hotel had their own beach?
Yes.
Which hotel were you staying in?
I've got no idea.
Okay, well, the hotel I'm staying in doesn't have its own beach.
Really? Well, you should have a word.
Okay.
With the Devils.
Yeah,
people.
And they're going to say, you're here for one night. Stop complaining.
Okay.
That's fun.
That's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
You're off to Cannes.
So I'm going to get up and I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Ken would have been thrilled. The director's cut of Devils. Then I'm going to watch it because they've done, they've remastered the whole thing. And then I'm going to...
You should stand up again and protest like you did that time. Mark Kermode dragged out of the film he's introduced. It's not like that. It shouldn't be like that. How dare you? Out you go. And take your heels with you.
Actually, I do think that I should go wearing heels. I think that would... I've got size 14 feet.
All the women barefoot and all the men in high heels. That would be fun.
Very good.
Well, until we get to that moment where Mark is taking off and disappearing to his showbiz lifestyle,
Thank you.
You have to do some work.
Yes.
And you need to talk enticingly about the films you're going to review.
Well, we've got an absolutely packed show. We've got reviews of The Christophers. Sir Ian McKellen was on the show last week. Fabulous interview about that. So that's out this week. We have Obsession, which is a new horror movie, which I can guarantee you're not going to enjoy. And
I won't see it then.
You won't see it, exactly. And
but why not?
Well, I'll do it when we get to the review, okay?
Body horror.
And Normal, which is the new Bob Odenkirk movie directed by Ben Wheatley. And also our very special guest.
Oh, yes, that's guests, in fact.
Yes.
Olivia Colman must be about the most fated, well, one of the most fated UK actors at the moment.
Yes.
You would think.
And you asked a killer question about, was it harder to work with your daughter or the Oscar and BAFTA winning Olivia Colman?
Yes. All this is to come. Sophie Hyde is the director. And it's one of those things where it reminded me a little bit uncomfortably of COVID, because I'm sitting in my room in North London and Olivia's in Canada and Sophie Hyde was in Adelaide in Australia. So we were spanning the continents. But it's a very interesting conversation. And that movie is Jimpa, and so you'll hear that chat in this take.
Yeah. And then we're going to have to put the review in take 2 because we've got too much in take 1.
But I think we're also putting it on YouTube so that everyone
Yes, we will
can
do,
watch
exactly. Yeah. And also in take 2, a review of Northern Soul Still Burning, which is a documentary about Northern Soul music.
That's a good title.
Yeah, very good.
All very entertaining, I think, maybe. Correspondence at kermodemayo.com. Tell us about a film that is out that we might be interested in.
So, Obsession, okay? 18 for strong violence and gore. And that's why you're probably not going to enjoy it. So IndieWire, talking about Obsession, said it was proof that the Craigification of 2020's horror is in full effect. And what they meant was that this is the latest horror film from someone who, like the Philippi brothers who made Talk to Me and Bring Her Back, and Zach Cregger, who made Weapons, which you really liked, and Barbarian. Made their name in comedy, often online comedy shorts, and then went on to make really sharp, really nasty horror movies. Bear in mind that, you know, you could go back to Jordan Peele and Get Out, because obviously he has a background in comedy as well. So there is this definite sort of train of people coming into horror through comedy and then doing really interesting stuff. So Fright Fest have been doing screenings of Obsession, which I knew in advance, so I kind of knew, okay, it's got the Fright Fest stamp of approval. Written and directed by Curry Barker, who made a splash in a sketch comedy duo called That's a Bad Idea, was making short comedy and horror shorts for YouTube. Made his featured directorial debut with a found footage horror film called Milk and Cereal. Now, this Obsession. So this follows Bear, played by Michael Johnson, who is this sort of shy, retiring guy who works in a music shop. And he's got a massive but unstated crush on his friend and workmate, Nikki. She's his closest friend, but he wants to let her know that he wants her to be more than just a friend. And actually, we meet him at the beginning practicing the speech in which he says to her, look, you know, you mean more to me. And then it cuts away and actually he's just practicing it. And his best friend is going, that's rubbish. You know, that's absolute rubbish. You're not going to get anywhere with that. He can't get up the courage to tell her that he loves her. Instead, she loses a crystal necklace and he goes into a crystal store, you know, a sort of hokum store to buy one. And he can't find the right one. What he does find instead is this thing called a one-wish willow. And it's a box.
That sounds like trouble.
Sounds like trouble, with a willow in the middle of it. And when you take it out, it makes a funny noise and you break it in half and you make a wish, okay? And he says, yeah. And of course, as is the way with horror films, you know, it looks like it's like a novelty, it's a kind of retro thing, but on the other hand, the thing might work. So he buys it for her to give it to her, and it's kind of, you know, because it's cute, but then he doesn't give it to her. What he does is, as she gets out of the car, as he's dropping her off, he breaks it in half himself, and he says, I wish that Nikki would love me more than anybody else in the world, which happens with very bad results. Here's a clip.
One wish, Willow. You only get one wish. I wish Nikki Freeman loved me more than anyone in the entire world.
I love you so much. A love only the branch of a willow tree could conjure.
It's weird how you two are dating all of a sudden. Like, super dating.
I think Nikki is going through something. Like, what? Is she okay? No. Jeez, what kind of spells you put on her?
They have shops like that in Boscastle.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, where you go in, they offer you
Yes.
things like that for a lot of money. You go, I'm not buying that.
There's also the Museum of Witchcraft in Boscastle.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, oh, fine, that's where it is. Okay, well, on the one hand, there's sort of, there is a tradition in movies, like, in Big, it's the thing about, the fairground thing, you make the wish and it will actually come true. And then what do you then do with it? Well, apparently the writer-director first got the idea for this. He was watching an episode of The Simpsons, and it was an episode of The Simpsons that refers to the monkey's paw. So the monkey's paw, as you'll know, because you're a big Stephen King fan, that's one of the kind of the urtext tales of horror, which is basically be careful what you wish for, because your wish may come true. And in this particular case, that is absolutely what happens, that he wishes for something and then it does come true. Now, on the one hand, that's a kind of, that's an outlandish fantasy. The reason it works, however, is that underneath it is a very real story about coercion, about control. I mean, the fact is, he makes this wish that then effectively imposes his will on somebody else. I mean, it's not a million miles away from spiking somebody's drink. There is something really sinister about the fact that he has done this. And from then on, what happens is that she becomes more and more cracked, because what's happened is that her free will has effectively been overtaken. And that bit that you heard at the end of that, of the laughter and the smiling in this film is really, really scary. Remember there was those horror movies, the Smile movies, in which you smile and really bad things happen. And I talked about Mia Goth at the end of Pearl, in which there's just this one shot of her smiling and it holds it for 3 minutes, and the smile becomes really, really terrifying. This has got really, really, really scary smiling in it. And then it's got the moments of what's described, as I said, in the BBFC as violence and strong gore that kind of remind you of the grislier moments of Bring Her Back. I mean, I thought it was really, really well done. There's a bit of Ringu in the people moving in a strange way going on there. There's a little bit of Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. But most of all, there is this whole really weird story about imposing your will on somebody else and then having to deal with the effect of that. Performances.
Does a wish count as that, though?
Well, that's the point. It's like it's a horror trope. With all horror films, they only actually work if they make some kind of sense. And the monkey's paw thing is literally be careful what you wish for. And that is something which people say in the real world, not just meaning wish for. It means be careful what you long for, because the thing is, you might get the thing that you long for, and that may not be something that you actually necessarily want. There is a great central performance by India Navarrete, who plays Nikki, and she is amazing in the film. But I thought the whole thing was really well done. I came out afterwards, and a colleague of mine, Boyd Hilton, and he said, that was really, wasn't it? And I said, yeah, it was really.
Really what?
It was really,
just
really, really, really messed up. But we had a great time, but it was as twisted as anything. And it's full on, and I really liked it. And there are things in it that are really, really, really.
Is it body horror?
Some horrible things happen to bodies, but I wouldn't describe it as body horror. I say that it's closer to a possession movie.
I don't think it's going to happen.
There's no cars in it.
Oh, okay. Well, but better to have sex with a car than someone who's possessed by the devil. But what if the car's obsessed with the devil? I don't know.
You're not going to see it, but honestly, if you're a horror fan, it's great. Like I said, I knew it had the Fright Fest seal of approval, and it's really easy to see why.
Okay. If you see Obsession, correspondence at Kermode.com. Also, should I go and see it? If it turns up on a streamer, I might with the lights on, that kind of thing.
You won't.
Do you think?
You won't. You'll watch the first half hour of it thinking, why on earth did Kermode fuss about this? And then you'll watch the second hour through your hands.
So it's more hardcore than Weapons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a different kind of horror, but yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's really. Okay, bottom of page 5 now.
Okay.
Still to come after the break.
I'm not on page 5. I've got it on the thing. You read it. You read my bit.
Okay. Bob Odenkirk in a Ben Wheatley directed film called Normal, The Christophers, which stars last week's guest,
Sir Ian McKellen.
Simon says, And can we have 2 national treasures on the show in the space of 2 weeks? Yes, we can, because also we speak to Olivia Colman, who is with director Sophie Hyde, talking about the new movie, which is called Jimpa.
And when you say Simon Says, does that mean I have to do it?
That's right. You lose all self-control.
Okay.
And it's a bit like the last movie.
It's a bit like Obsession.
Simon Says, read the script in just a moment. Okay, box office top 10 time. Before we get there, Legends, which is on Netflix, which obviously doesn't turn up in the movie box office top 10.
Because it's on telly.
But we have been talking about it. What with it? You reviewing it.
Yep. And you speaking to that Steve Coogan.
That one. Someone who appears to be called Paperless Writer. Either that or they work for a company called Paperless Writer. Anyway, it's on YouTube. Thank you, Mr. Paperless. Who knows? Already watched the first episode, and this one looks like a keeper. Despite the lightness and genuinely funny lines, this is serious stuff, and the actors are all fantastic. Luckily, in the US, Netflix drops all season's episodes at once, so I can watch this as quickly as I want, and as gripping as it is, I don't see this 6-hour season taking me more than a weekend to get through. It's that riveting.
Yeah.
How many episodes have dropped here? 8? All of them. All of them. So we're just the same as America then in that case. So thank you, Paperless Writer. But it is one of those shows you think, okay, better watch the next one.
Yeah, loved it. But I watched 4 because that's what they sent us as a preview, thinking that was everything. And I got to the end of 4. And as you said, it is, you can't leave Bulldog Basil there.
Correct. So into the 10. Now, The Magic Faraway Tree is at 10.
Lovely. 7 weeks in the top 10. Very good. Great family film.
Number 9, Iron Maiden, Burning Ambition.
So there were 2 music docs out last week, this and the Billie Eilish film. I did the Billie Eilish film, so I haven't seen Burning Ambition. Do we have any emails?
No, but I'm in it.
You're in it?
I'm in the Iron Maiden documentary.
Oh, really?
Yes,
what do you do?
Introduce them on Top of the Pops.
Oh, okay, fine. How do you know that if you haven't seen it?
Because I've been told.
By
Nikki Chapman, who works at Magic, which is a companion radio station to Greatest Hits.
Okay.
And I see her every evening because she's about to go in just as I'm leaving. And her other half is the manager of Iron Maiden.
Oh, okay, fine.
So she said we went to the opening, went to the premiere,
which was in Leicester Square because it was a big.
And I turned up and there you go.
So what do you say? And now Pop Pickers, Iron Maiden.
To be honest, it'll probably be something like that.
Okay.
I feel as though I should have got paid, though.
You feel like you should have got told.
If I'm in the Iron Maiden, I'm in a top 10 movie.
Yeah. I was watching that film, Lynch Oz. I'm in that. I didn't know that I was in that.
You should be paid.
Well, apparently not.
They can't just use you like that.
No.
And taking away all your self-control.
There was an episode. There's an edition of Sight and Sound recently that had interviews with actors. I did 2 of them. They were transcriptions of the interviews that I did on stage with Daniel Day-Lewis and Jessie Buckley. No idea.
Well, they need to pay you.
Well, apparently not.
Get your agent to get in touch. Okay, Iron Maiden at number 9. Hokum is at number 8.
Which I enjoyed. I mean, I thought it worked well, and I think that's horror that is much more in your wheelhouse.
Yes. Okay. A wheel park?
Wheelhouse.
Caravan park.
Wheel park.
Just go down the park. I quite like that, though.
Okay, let's use Wheel Park now from now on.
It kind of works and everyone knows exactly what you're saying. Project Hail Mary, 7 here. Oh, Hokum is also number 8 in America.
Yeah.
And Project Hail Mary is 7 here and 7 there.
Yeah, Maze. We both like it. I like it more than you do.
And at number 6 here and there, the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Number 5 here, but number 1 in America is Mortal Kombat 2.
Which I enjoyed. And I thought it was a step up from the previous Mortal Kombat, which was a step up from the previous Mortal Kombat. But I thought this was really enjoyable, and I like Carl Urban in it very much.
Samo via our YouTube channel. Is the movie great? I don't know. Not really. Is the movie fun?
Yes.
It definitely is. My biggest gripe is that it's very apparent who can do martial arts and who cannot. The Liu Kang Kung Lao fight was absolute martial arts film bliss. I wanted more of that. Kano steals the show again. I wish Urban as Johnny Cage was as awesome as Lyndon Ashby was in 1995's Mortal Kombat. I still thought he was fun. The biggest issue I had with Cage was he's still supposed to be an awesome fighter. And I feel like in Mortal Kombat 2, Johnny Cage is 99% comedy and 1% fighting. I'm 41, but I remember when, even with the gore at the time, Mortal Kombat was geared towards kids and young people. Mortal Kombat gore and games have gotten so graphic now, I don't even think kids experience Mortal Kombat or care.
Okay. Well, I haven't played Mortal Kombat. I've only seen the films, but I did enjoy this film.
You still don't play computer games?
No, I mean, I think I'm a bit late to start. And just to be absolutely clear, I have nothing against them. I think they're great works of art. I've talked to Charlie Brooker about it. I've watched, and my kids grew up playing them and love them. It's just not a skill that I have.
And number 5 over there, Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft, the tour, brackets concert.
Which is directed by Billie Eilish and James Cameron, who says at the beginning, it's going to say Billie Eilish, and then James Cameron in tiny letters, and then at the end it says directed by James Cameron and Billie Eilish. But it's a great concert film, and I'm a big fan of everything she does. I mean, I just think...
Are you a fan of the 3D, Mark?
I'm not, but it's in 3D, and honestly, I kind of forgot about it. They seem to have slightly tweaked how difficult it is to sit the glasses on your glasses, because I've got quite heavy glasses frames, but I put them on and honestly, I forgot about it.
Okay. David Hopkins says, Dear Bad Guy and Bird of a Feather, having been lucky enough to attend the Hit Me Hard and Soft tour,
oh wow,
what a treat it was to enjoy it again in this amazing mashup of concert film and documentary. And what a joyful alliance between James Cameron, 3 Oscars, and Billie Eilish, just the 2. One of the grand old men of Hollywood still looking to push back technical boundaries, 3D that actually adds to the experience, and a young performer still only testing what seems like her limitless potential. Other concert films tend towards lionizing the performer, but this one emphasizes the communion between Billie and her fans. It was remarkable how much this was replicated in the communal place of a cinema theatre. David, thank you.
Good.
Number 3 here, number 4 over there is The Sheep Detectives.
Which I'm actually slightly surprised it hasn't gone into number 1, because I thought it was going to... We were talking about it last week when it came out. This is going to be big. I mean, it's obviously done well, but it's not... It hasn't...
Maybe if it wasn't up against Michael and Devil Wears Prada...
Yeah, then it would be number 1. But I mean, I thought it was great. I went in not knowing anything about it, thinking, how on earth is this going to work? And then... amazingly, it works. It's really charming.
Chris says, Dear you and you, on seeing the trailer for The Sheep Detectives, I expected a silly whodunit which was solved by sheep. By the end, I didn't care who done it or why, because that wasn't the story. It's a story about grief and remembrance. At the heart of it are sheep who want to forget so the pain goes away, but then the importance of remembering the deceased and honouring them is mentioned. It was a scene which had me silently sobbing, having suddenly lost 2 friends recently. The Sheep Detectives is a film that's probably not for young kids, but ideal for older ones and adults, helping those affected navigate through grief and, for those experiencing it for the first time, understand it. It's got an important message at its heart, but also has great laughs right from the opening logo, the chicken and the description of God, which will be causing chuckles in Clergy Corner. Many thanks to the friends I've made through listening to your show who've given me the support, given me their support, and to my dear friends, you'll never be forgotten. Thank you, Chris. Anthony...
Don't say you're absolutely right, instantly. You're absolutely right about that.
Anthony in Huntingdonshire. Who knew? I like the comparison that it is akin to Babe versus Knives Out, but more than that, it's a gentle introduction for a younger audience into the genre of the whodunit. There is only minimal threat, although I concur with Mark that one scene is very sinister for a PG, and practically no injury detail. Regardless of the intended audience, I'd like to commend the film on how well crafted it is to fit the genre. There were enough clues so that the audience could deduce the perpetrator just before the reveal, but it wasn't so blindingly obvious as not to be a puzzle, with red herrings aplenty, creating the necessary diversions along the way. And Johnny in Austin. Greetings from deep, too deep in the heart of Texas. I write to you about Sheep. What a strange movie to choose as the first to write to you about after a decade of listening. This evening, my wife and 16-year-old daughter dragged me to a screening of The Sheep Detectives. I knew little about it going in and didn't care to know more. I was expecting an animated feature at the level of, let's say Trolls, and I was busy planning how to entertain myself with pacing the popcorn consumption. First observation walking in, only a sprinkling of kids, as in 2 or 3. It was a theatre packed with middle-aged adults. Second observation, I was fighting tears in the final 5 minutes. And then there's an explanation, which I'll skip over.
Yeah.
Final observation, adults all around me were quietly clapping as the film ended. It was as if we all let out a collective, much-needed sigh of appreciation at an experience of human, or at least sheep-ish, decency. Yes, it's a strange smoothie of a movie, but there's something deeply normal and simple in its spirit. The Texans around me needed it, as did I. In a time and land giving into its grotesque streak, it was a small but true pleasure to see so many celebrate an outcast winter lamb being accepted into the herd. It felt relieving and right to celebrate care. The film had multiple such moments of goodness in its bumpy, strange ride. The applause didn't last too long, and everyone dispersed in oversized trucks to continue to confront, endure, or embrace whatever it is we are becoming over here. But for one strange moment, we saw and applauded decency. It was a really weird movie. Sheepishly, Johnny and Austin.
That's a fantastic email. What a wonderful experience. And I think those emails collectively demonstrate why it was that I thought the film would go in at number one.
Yeah. You would say, if you lived in the middle of Austin, have you ever been to Austin?
No.
Texas is weird. Austin is absolutely fabulous.
Okay.
We should go and do the show in Austin. And Johnny can be the only person in the audience, but it's why South by Southwest is. It's just absolutely fantastic.
Can I say there was a moment when you said it's absolutely? I thought, where's Mayo going?
This is an
Are we
unusual.
crossing the Rubicon?
That would be a strange thing. Anyway, number 3 over there. Number 2 here is Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Lots on this, but nothing worth reading out.
Okay.
And number 1, although there is some in, as you might imagine, Take
overflow
Ultra,
car park.
yeah,
in Take Ultra.
Take
Okay,
Ultra.
fine. Okay, great. Okay, good.
And number 1 here and number 2 in America is The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Which is, it's fine, but it's a lot of plot and not much else.
Coco says, the main problem with DWP2 is there. So actually, I should say the full title because it makes sense.
Yeah.
Dear Pry and Mark, or Pre and Mark?
Primark.
Oh,
It's
there
a
you
joke
go.
about Primark.
There it is. I say Primark. Anyway, the main.
You don't say.
I've never said it out
to the
loud.
good lady surrounded says, "Oi, I'm off to Primark."
Primark. The main problem with Devil Wears Prada 2 is there is no devil. Meryl Streep's Miranda is now the slightly edgy aunt you might want to hang out with. Mark was right. I can remember parts of the original, not so much this time, shoehorning in shots of what I am sure are famous designers looked a bit desperate. Love the show. Thank you, Coco.
Yes.
So that's the number 1. There's lots more on this when we get to the Overflow car park in Take 2, which is available via Patreon. You are moments away from my chat with Sophie Hyde, the director, and Olivia Colman, the star of Jimpa. By the way, Mark, have you heard more than once? Vanguardistas get not only take one. So I've taken the corporate shilling here.
Go on.
I've swallowed the Sony shilling. Vanguardistas get not only Take 1 ad-free, but our weekly extra show, Take 2 ad-free. And if you sign up on our Patreon as an Ultra, you get all of that, plus our fortnightly extra show, Take Ultra. Yeah. We open with golden era hip-hop, answer emails involving Breaking Bad, bell ringing and film cliches that should frankly be illegal, pour lovingly over the UK box office for April in Grossly Remarkable, and then brave the comment section in Hot Takes and Cold Comfort, where things get loud, strange, and occasionally unhinged. We finish as ever with one last thing where we have to recommend something, and Mark says, "Oh, I've forgotten."
No, I've remembered this.
Have you got something?
I've got
a proper
something,
thing to recommend.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's Take Ultra for Ultras only. Head on over there if you'd like to join the club. Ka-ching. Thank you very much indeed.
You didn't say in Hot Takes and Cold Comfort where people basically call Mark names.
Which is another alternative title.
Yeah.
It's a warning to those who go below the belt,
yes.
below the line. Which is the same thing. Don't go below the belt, don't go below the line.
They're both in the same wheel park.
I think so.
We are literally collectively losing our minds, aren't we?
Losing something.
We're just drifting into senility.
Right.
Okay.
Let's talk movie and actors and directors.
Okay.
So we're going to speak to superstar actor Olivia Colman and film director Sophie Hyde. They have made a movie called Jimpa. Now, which is Jimpa. So obviously the first question should have been explain the title, which I don't, and they don't. So therefore you would listen through the whole of the interview without knowing why it's called Jimpa. So I'll explain now. It is called this because John Lithgow's character is called Jim, and he's a grandpa, but like many grandpas have decided, I don't want to be that. I want to be called something different. I get called Bestefar because that's what it is.
Bestefar?
Because that's what it is in Danish. He decides that he's going to be called Jimpa.
Wow.
Hence the title of the movie. That's the title explanation you'll hear from Sophie Hyde and Olivia Colman after this clip from the film.
Hi.
Who is it?
Me.
You should say your name, not just hello. Don't know who it is or what you want otherwise.
You do like self-identifying, you hypocrite.
Hello, it's me, your daughter, Hannah.
That's it? Just a daughter?
And a filmmaker and a mother and a woman. Is that better?
Impressive.
So, Miriam gave me her key today because someone didn't leave one behind for me. Who else has a key to the apartment?
No one. Like my body, my home is my temple.
And what happens if you have another stroke?
Oh, God. If I have another stroke, even if you're here, go out and have a coffee.
Jimpa.
No, I'm deadly serious.
That is a clip from Jimpa. I'm delighted to say that I've been joined on one continent by Olivia Colman, who stars in the movie, and on another continent by Sophie Hyde, who's the director. Sophie and Olivia, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks very much.
Hi.
Okay, so we have 3 different time zones, 3 different continents, but we are talking about one film, and the film is Jimpa. It's directed by Sophie. In my experience, no offense, Olivia, but in my experience, directors are always better at explaining their movie because it's their movie. So,
Absolutely,
Sophie,
I agree.
introduce us to Jimpa.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. It's a film about someone played by Olivia Colman who takes their teenager to visit their gay grandfather in Amsterdam from Australia. And that teenager decides they want to stay and live in Amsterdam with him and have a big queer life. And Olivia's character isn't sure if she wants that, but doesn't really want to say no. So it's a kind of intergenerational story about 3 members of a family and then kind of the extended family around them.
Yeah. You always make personal and intimate films, Sophie. This one is particularly autobiographical. Tell us how long you've wanted to tell a story sort of revolving around your father.
I always thought there was a story in my dad, and he would have liked to have thought so as well. But it was actually just after he died, which was 2018, and I had been with him in a hospital room and had quite an amazing experience of talking to him about his life. But I also went back to my own teenager, Ord, and they were very young at the time, only 12 actually, and they just started to become really involved in speaking publicly about their queerness, and they were just starting to grapple with these ideas. And my dad was a very out and eccentric gay man. And I honestly just longed to put them in a room together. I just wished for them to be able to speak to each other. And so that was the kind of impetus for the beginning of the film, is a grandparent and a grandchild talking about what it means to be queer. And then I didn't know it would stay so kind of closely connected to our lives as, our family. That was a kind of surprise to me. Usually you try and have a little bit more of a veneer over your films and pretend they're not so much about you.
Okay. And at what stage did you think of Olivia Colman?
I mean, when I took that idea to my co-writer, Matt, he said, I'm interested in this, but I really am interested in the character in the middle, the person who's the parent of the teenager and the child of the grandfather. I really want to know what's going on for her. And so that was where we kind of started writing from. As soon as we'd written, we were always like, who could this be? Olivia Colman. But it was sort of a joke, we'll never get Olivia Colman. We couldn't get her to play this role. So right at the start.
Okay. So, Olivia, how were you introduced to Hannah, your character, and the script, which became this movie?
I believe it was my agents who sent the script to me and said, would you like to meet Sophie? I just worked with a director that works very differently to me, and I felt a bit sort of disheartened. And they said, you've got to meet Sophie. I think you'd really get on well. She works like you work. And so we met on a Zoom. And I instantly went, oh yeah, oh no, I like this. This feels lovely. I was slightly anxious about going away from home. I'm not good at that. Yes. So when I first arrived in Australia, Sophie had laid on as much as possible to make it as nice as possible. We went to see wild animals and that were being cared for in a sanctuary, and we had beautiful food. She laid it on thick and it was great.
So what were you getting from Sophie, just on the basis of that, the script plus the Zoom, what were you getting from Sophie that you weren't getting in this previous project that had left you, by the sound of it, somewhat disillusioned? Well,
Sophie has a history of working with actors in a way which is collaborative, and you feel trusted and, not like a warm prop. Some directors, I don't know, just don't understand that you bring anything to it. And Sophie was the opposite of that, And I always do a little bit of homework and ask people, what's it like working with whoever I'm about to work with? Yeah. And I don't always listen. And that's when I went slightly wrong, the one before. But everything pointed to a happy, collaborative experience. And I think it's important. We're not saving lives. We need to enjoy what we're doing. And
early on, Olivia, your character, Hannah, is talking about her parents' breakup. And you say they chose kindness rather than conflict, which is a theme which kind of runs through a lot of the film. I'll come to Sophie in just a moment, but can you explain the significance of that in the story?
I mean, Sophie will definitely explain this better than me, but I felt that from Sophie as well and everyone on the film. And I was also maybe, is that possible? But it is possible. Sophie can attest to the fact that it's possible. And that did happen with her family. And it happened on set as well. And I love the point. There was a point when Hannah goes, I'm going to leave now. Please don't take this as an act of aggression. And this is very, very Sophie.
Sophie, can you explain that quote just a little bit?
I mean, some of that quote comes from some humor, which is an idea that you have a character who's non-confrontational, and she wants to make a film that's non-confrontational as well. And the humor of that, to see that and to watch a character who, on the one hand, you think, oh, that's very, that's a very kind of lofty aim. Like, that's a great aim to seek this out. Or is it repression? You kind of have this ability to kind of look at somebody in multiple ways. But I think kindness is a really specific word. And I don't think it's always as nice and as soft and as gentle as we kind of, use it. I think it's a very robust choice to choose kindness. It's not about just being sweet to everybody. It's saying can I think differently about this? Could I choose a different path? And Matt and I, when we were writing the film, we were constantly okay, what happens if when we think they're going to get angry at each other or they're going to do something that will kind of up the drama? What if they do choose kindness? So we were really exploring that concept of whether that was possible and whether you can have disagreement, loving disagreement within that as well.
Robust.
You could have asked Sophie first, you see, that was much better done. Much better done.
I think it's both sides of the same
robust kindness, Simon. Well done.
Yeah. Okay. No, I shall remember that. So Frances, who is the non-binary teen to which Olivia Colman's Hannah is the mother in the film, as you mentioned, Sophie, is your non-binary teen, Ord. Was that a collaboration that started even before the collaboration with Olivia? I haven't even mentioned John Lithgow yet, but was that inevitably the first of the collaborations here?
It was one of the first collaborations because Ord and I have been in conversation about kind of creative ideas for their life. If you have a filmmaker as a parent, that's kind of what you get in part. And Ord is a very kind of switched on, engaged human. So they were constantly asking me to kind of consider my life and the way that I was And that kind of fed into the creativity. So they were really a part of the conversation. I didn't necessarily know that they were going to be in the film. That was like, that kind of was something that we needed to wait and see how that fit in and whether they were the right age, whether it would work with the others. And then it felt like that was the right choice at a point. But for sure, creatively, they were part of it. They were early stages in the kind of writing and conversation. But they were like, when we started writing, they were 14, and then the character's 16. And by the time we shot, I think they turned 19 on set. So things changed a lot for them.
And would you say, Sophie, is it tougher to direct your own child or the Oscar-winning, BAFTA-winning, Emmy-winning Olivia Colman?
I mean, Olivia is like...
You're lucky on the other side of the world.
You're just like, you're like, what can you say? Like, it's a pleasure, like, to direct both of them in different ways. It's tough to direct your own child because I hold a lot of responsibility for them and I don't want them to hold too much responsibility. There's another thing going on. But also I really felt in safe hands with Ord. And with Olivia, they're just, the instinct, and I always felt that there was something new being brought to like every moment of that. So I felt always a great ease with that.
And when did John Lithgow come into the picture? Because he plays the gay father of Olivia Colman's Hannah. What an extraordinary presence he is. He's just such a wonderful actor. You must have felt once you had Ord plus Olivia plus John, there you go. That's the movie sorted.
I mean, it's incredible. Like the three of them are like a fabulous sort of triangle of difference, I think, that kind of really complement each other. I do think of it kind of as an ensemble too. So we had these other great actors who could come in and round something out. And I felt like everyone was getting a chance to play in different ways in the scene, which was really thrilling. Like the best thing being a filmmaker is being with and watching actors like find each other and like bounce off each other. So, I mean, it's extraordinary. I mean, you're right. John just walks in and he's like this giant personality, this giant like thespian, it's very exciting.
Olivia, had you worked with John before?
No. My God, it was just lovely. And I'd not long before lost my dad. And there was a scene where we had to dance together and I used to dance with my dad. And John, who feels like he's 7 foot tall, and he goes, "Oh, my darling," and just gave me a huge, big hug. And he's just the most beautiful, loving human being. And everybody, Kate, Dan, Eamon, we had the best time.
And Sophie, with Olivia and John there in the cast, known around the world, was this an easy movie to get released or was it surprisingly difficult?
Oh, surprisingly difficult. But I think that's the case for a lot of films now, as particularly at this moment. It was. I mean, it's not easy to finance an indie film, even with the best people in it. Do you know? This one we kind of put together because of these guys coming on. And then it's been beautifully, like, it is getting everywhere. But it's not like one of those things that's like snap your fingers and there it is in 100 cinemas a city kind of thing. No, it's taken its time. It's been a slow kind of process of releasing it around the world.
Because of the subject matter, because it's dealing with queer issues?
I think it's many reasons. I think it's just film is like there's more films around, they're harder to get seen. Yeah, I think people are nervous about backing this kind of content for sure. I think this is a very volatile moment and it's not a volatile film. So it's like, how do you kind of push that in the world? It's not even kind of engaging in the big dramatic argument about queerness. It's sort of people just living their lives and trying to be loving and kind to each other.
Turning on the news is so miserable. You think you want to watch something which is about kindness and it's funny and it's, I don't know, it feels like the perfect antidote from my point of view. I would watch it twice a day.
Olivia, there was one thing in your conversation towards the end of the film, and I think you did let us all down, and I think the film didn't answer this question adequately. Who does put tofu in risotto?
Yeah.
Always a bad choice.
Such a bad choice. I'm open to tofu, not in a risotto. That's all kinds of wrong.
Yeah, I think so. Sophie, what would your father have made of the film?
He would be so delighted to know who these guys are in it and that it's being seen and the kind of conversations that are happening around it. I'm pretty sure he would also say to me, like, why didn't you do a more exciting bit of my life? A bit where I could be a bit sexier, I think.
Wow. I mean, John takes his clothes off all the way through the movie. How much more sexy does he want it to be?
Very sexy. It's true. Maybe he would just be totally thrilled. Yeah.
Olivia, just out of interest, what would your father have made of this film as well?
He'd have loved it, and he'd have sat there and cried all the way through. He definitely, from that generation, where potentially boys don't cry, he was not one of those. He'd have, it's lovely. He'd have loved it.
I appreciate your time, Sophie. It's time for bed. Olivia, you just got up. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Olivia, what are you working on now, if I may be so rude?
I'm doing a Sarah Treem script called Cry Wolf in Canada, which is not nearly as jolly as Jimpa.
So, Sophie, what do you work on next?
I've got a couple of things, but I'm really exploring this regenerative oyster reef along the South Australian coast and sort of making a fiction film that also looks at the kind of destruction and regeneration of that reef, weirdly.
All right. Well, we look forward to that. Olivia Colman in Canada, Sophie Hyde in Australia. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us about Jimpa.
Thank you. Thanks, Simon.
If you get the opportunity to have Olivia on the show, then you take it with both hands.
And you did. You got 2 laughs with questions. Well done.
Yeah, well, I think one was end of the day, probably had a glass of wine. Olivia was she was vulnerable.
First thing in the morning, so probably had a glass of wine.
Yeah. Well, you know what Coleman's like.
I should say that during that interview, when she said she talked about the director with whom she had not had a great I think we figured it out. I'm not going to say, but I think we figured out who that was.
Yeah. Who'd have thought it was Brian Jenkinson?
I know.
He's such a well-loved person. And there you go. So embarrassing. Anyway, so because we're super packed,
super packed.
Mark's review of Jimpa is going to be in take two. Also, if, so, if you're not a subscriber, we'll put it on YouTube as well. So everything is available.
Because we've still got 2 more movies to get through. Yeah. He's running out of time.
Also in Take Two, One Frame Back is all about favourite Olivia Colman roles, of which there are so many. And you go, oh, wow, I'd forgotten she did. Oh, and I'd forgotten. Oh, and she did that, as well. Yeah. Okay. So thanks to Olivia and Sophie for being on this week's show. Last week, I was down Sir Ian McKellen's pub, The Way You Are.
Yes.
And that's all up and available for you to watch. But The Christophers is actually out this week.
It is. So, latest from Steven Soderbergh, and we do this every single time, right? Steven Soderbergh, the prolific multi-hyphenate behind Sex, Lies and Videotape, the Oceans remake series, Erin Brockovich, which Julia Roberts was fated, Traffic, Contagion, Magic Mike, but then went on to be a stage show. He retired from directing in 2013, and since retiring from directing, he's made Lucky Logan, Unsane, High Flying Bird, The Laundromat, Let Them All Talk, No Sudden Move, Kimmy, Magic Mike's Last Dance, Present, Black Book, and The Christophers.
That's my kind of retirement.
Exactly. So he's really not trying. This is written by Ed Solomon, who is probably best known as a writer on the Bill and Ted movies, but more importantly worked with Soderbergh on No Sudden Move. This is a very different beast, although interestingly, in your interview with Sir Ian McKellen, he did say that you shouldn't say too much about the plot because there is a thriller element, there is a kind of mystery element. And I'm probably going to say more about the plot than he would, because I think a certain amount of it's in the trailer anyway. So it's described in Wikipedia, incidentally, as a black comedy. It's also a kind of melancholy odd couple movie. I think you could even say it is arguably a very late in life coming of age story. So Michaela Cole, obviously, brilliant person behind I Will Destroy You, is Laurie. She is this disenchanted artist come forger who is enlisted by these 2 siblings, Barnaby and Sally Sklar, to take part in a deception involving their aging artist father, played by Sir Ian McKellen. So he was once fated as an artist. He was, and then he sort of fell out of fashion. Maybe he was cancelled. Maybe he was forgotten. He now makes a living recording these paid-for cameo videos, you know, the ones in which you go and say, oh, hello. The one...
Yeah, Farage does those.
Farage did that and famously said a really... Well,
look where that got it.
Yeah. Let's not go down there. Anyway, so they think, Barnaby and Sally think that he has some unfinished Christophers, which is a series of paintings that he did up in his attic. And when he dies, which he will inevitably do in the not too distant future because he's getting on in life, those paintings will be very valuable. And what they want is for Laurie to get a job as his assistant, to find the paintings, and if necessary, finish them, because they know that that's something that she can do. She doesn't want to do it, but they basically strong-arm her into doing it because they know things about her that they don't want to come out. So she says, okay. So she takes the job and then begins a sort of cat and mouse in her relationship with this aging, slightly cantankerous artist for whom she clearly has a love-hate relationship with his past. Here's a quick clip.
Oh, my sidewalk salon, although that was off to an industry who needed someone to say it to them.
It was a move that gave you cover to pretend it was you who was in control of his own downfall.
No, I'd done with them, Laurie.
Yeah, because they were done with you.
Well, as I said, when Sir Ian McKellen said, you know, well, let's not say too much about the plot, but I think that is basically set up because the whole of the rest of the movie then is the relationship between them. And, you know, will she follow through on the deception? How will she get on with him? What does she actually want? What does he actually want? And it is clear that there is some kind of backstory in her head about him and why it is that he may or may not be important in her life. In your interview, Sir Ian McKellen said, you said, you know, was this role written for you? And he said, well, I heard that it was written for Michaela and me, and I can certainly believe it in her case, and I just kind of accept it in my case. I can't imagine anybody else playing these roles. I mean, it is the most Sir Ian McKellen role I think he's ever played.
In a good way.
In a really good way.
Yes.
I'm not saying that as a bad thing at all. And he's fantastic. One of the reasons he's fantastic is because obviously he has a background in theatre, and there's a lot of handheld long takes. Steven Soderbergh shoots himself, okay? So he operates the camera. He does it under a pseudonym. I think it's Peter Adams. He also edits under a pseudonym. But it's him, you know, doing the things. And it looks to me like what they've done for a lot of the scenes is they've done like one long continuous take. And Sir Ian McKellen was saying that he'll do 1, 2, 3 takes tops, that's it. And he was saying that's really good because as opposed to, for example, working with Peter Jackson in which, you know, there'll be 20, 30 takes because you've got to get everything completely right in terms of the choreography, the special effects. And the way this works is that it keeps it fresh. I did feel that what you were watching was a really fresh performance. It didn't feel like something that they had 38 runs at. And with actors of this caliber, when you've got Sir Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole together, sparking off each other, of course you're going to get it in like a couple of takes. That's absolutely fine.
And it could have felt stagey, but that's exactly what it isn't.
Yes, which is precisely the point about Steven Soderbergh doing the camera, because actually, when you consider that essentially it's a drama in which a large part of it is 2 people talking in a room or 2 people kind of arguing in a house, that doesn't sound very cinematic. But Soderbergh has got such a cinematic... I mean, the guy lives and breathes cinema. And there is something about the way that the camera sort of dances around them, and it is a dance, essentially, that it makes it feel like it's a really cinematic experience. I mean, I'm a big fan of Soderbergh's, not least because I think his work ethic is absolutely terrific, but because I think that what he does is he understands what makes something enticing to watch. And in these 2 performers, he has 2 performers who have extraordinarily expressive faces, okay? And one of the things about Michaela Cole's character is that you know that there is a backstory in it. But you know what the backstory is long before anything in the script tells you what the backstory is. And the reason is because she's got one of those faces that just tells the story. And the combination, I mean, I'm not saying this is just like she's worked at it. She's a brilliant actor and that's why she can do it. But it's those things about those little micro expressions, the tiny, tiny responses. And when you've got the 2 of them together and they're both working at that level, you just think this is great. And I really enjoyed it. I think it is about something as well. I think it is about, there is a real melancholia at the heart of it. I mean, on the one hand, it's about, you know, art and why we need art and do we need art and what makes art good and, what's the difference between a real thing and a forgery. And as I said, in both the cases, there's this sort of, what is going on with their relations to these paintings. And actually, when all that starts being explained, you go, I knew all of this stuff because I could tell it from the way that you were behaving. Also, kind of interesting that in terms of the horrible children, how does he refer to the horrible children? He says something like the parasites or the or the cannibals or.
He's fantastically dismissive.
Fantastically dismissive of his kids. The kids are played by Jessica Gunning, who is a scary stalker from Baby Reindeer, and James Corden. And I have to say, I think they both do a very good job of playing them. But the interesting thing is, they're his kids. They didn't they didn't come out just those people. So there is a whole thing as well in the drama, which is, this is what he has generated, this kind of level of resentment, because he is so cantankerous, or at least has become so cantankerous. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. Did you like it?
I thought it was probably one of my favourites so far. I mean, I just thought it was wonderful. In other hands, other directors' hands, you think it would feel a bit lumpy and a bit stagey and a bit slow, but that only occurs to you afterwards, I think.
The one thing I was slightly surprised by is the release date, because this is not awards corridor now. The Oscars have just happened, and didn't it look to you like? Oh, I mean, I was thinking of like some of the Roger Michell movies, like Venus or something. But I was thinking it's just weird because it's the kind of thing that you think you would release coming up to Christmas because it's so obviously got awards potential.
I did mention in the interview, I think, that because Sir Ian McKellen has never won a BAFTA and he's never won an Oscar, and which seems incredible. Therefore, he probably will for this because, as you often say, it's his turn.
Yeah, it is.
But also not just his turn. This is a great performance. Film. So I think unless the people who, I mean, I'm a BAFTA voter, but so I won't forget this. And you would just think, okay, just remember this film when it comes to voting, when it comes to the end of the year, or when it comes to decision time.
Okay. Well, it's May, so you're going to have to remember that in January.
Okay. Well, I think even I might remember the Christophers and to vote for Sir Ian and for McKellen, because I thought it was really, really terrific stuff.
Me too.
So that's very good. Correspondence@kermode.com. Please let us know what you think once you've actually gone to see it. But now, oh gosh, this is going to be so good. I'm just saying that every week.
It's never true.
It's never true. No. And it won't be true this week either, because it's the laughter lift. Here we go. Anyway, Mark, here we go. Face-to-face comedy. That's what this is.
Okay.
I don't know about you, but I cannot bear door-to-door salesmen and saleswomen. Can you? Hate them. Okay. They get right on my blooming nerves. I had one come round the other day asking me if I thought about my funeral arrangements and would I like to buy a coffin. And I said, that's the last thing I need.
Hey!
That must have been from 1954.
Yeah, but what's the door-to-door bit of that? I mean, it's just, anyway.
Anyway, have you ever, it's a bit of a non sequitur. Okay. Have you ever dated a twin?
No.
I used to court one in my younger days. People used to say, how can you tell them apart? And I always said, oh, it's easy. Alison's always got nicely painted pink fingernails and Terry's got a big bushy ginger beard. I quite like that one. Anyway, it's very chilly at the moment.
So I just snorted.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the first time that's happened in the laughter lift.
That's true. It's a very attractive feature. So chilly at the moment, isn't it? It reminds me of years ago, me and the good lady ceramicist here indoors were down on our luck and we got 30% off a 2-man tent at Millet's and we slept in it from November through to March. It was the winter of our discount tent. Thank you.
That, Simon Paul, is a joke from the side of that army surplus store in wherever it is now is the winter of our discount tents. I cannot believe you passed that off as a laughter lift entry.
Yeah, but he's the other side of the glass, so he can't actually correspond.
Seriously. Seriously.
Anyway, that went down very well. Well, at least we got a snort.
It was called Lawrence Corner, wasn't it?
No idea. Mark, what's to come? Well, Mark says my reviews of Normal and the other thing.
That's it.
It's just Normal.
Normal.
After this. Okay, just before we move on, interesting email here from Tom Della, secondary English teacher at the King's School in Grantham.
Hello.
All right, Tom?
Yes, Grantham.
Tom says, Dear Woody and Buzz, I am a secondary school teacher in Grantham, Lincolnshire, and your global brand of wit-tainment has kept me sane when commuting to work at the crack of dawn and driving home after a long day of teaching with the sun setting. A big shout out to teachers across the land and students working hard for their SATs, GCSEs and A-levels, and also Scottish Highers, which he doesn't mention, but I'm just adding that in.
Okay.
I was listening to your award-winning Wayland Yutani Corporation podcast last week.
I'm glad that's caught
in
on.
which you discussed the term denouement. Kudos to Simon for reaching to his bookshelf for the answer, which I did because it was right next to me as opposed to now when it is not. Denouement is a term taught in secondary school English classrooms up and down the land, usually within a structure known as Freytag's Pyramid.
Okay.
He was a German novelist and playwright from the 1800s. Teachers use his structure to help students understand the plot structure of the text that we are reading, but also to help students create a structure of their own when they're writing stories in creative writing. In teaching this to students, the universal example of a plot which adheres to this structure is Toy Story 1, which I know is a movie series dear to your hearts. So here is a helpful diagram, which I shall hold up for you, Mark.
Yeah, I've got it on my screen here.
Okay, and a very teachly but concise explanation. 1. Exposition. We arrive in the setting of Andy's bedroom and learn the toys come to life. Woody is Andy's favourite toy. This is the status quo, the balanced norm.
Okay.
2. Initial incident/conflict. Buzz Lightyear arrives and threatens Woody's position, challenging the status quo. 3. Rising action. Woody's jealousy leads to Buzz being knocked out of the window and both toys become lost and end up in Sid's dangerous house next door. 4. Climax. Buzz realizes he is just a toy and, with Woody, works together in a high-speed chase to get back to Andy. 5. Falling action. Woody and Buzz reunite with the other toys and resolve their initial conflict. 6. Denouement. They become friends and share Andy's attention as the toys settle into a new balance, new status quo. I refuse to use the term the new normal.
Very good.
A heartfelt thank you for all that you do, and the redactor. He just types. Your podcast brings such joy and comfort to your church members. Keeping on during these turbulent times, from Tom Della. So there you go. So that is obviously taught. That's Freytag's Pyramid.
It's very good. I'm reminded of a thing that Kurt Vonnegut used to do, which was a line description of how plots go. And he said how it works is like this: the person starts here, okay, and then something happens to them which takes them up to here, and then something really bad happens which takes them down to here, and then they retrieve it and they end up above where they started. He said that's one plot, and the other plot is they start here and then their dog dies.
And it goes all the way down. And you trace the exact line from Freytag's Pyramid. Exposition, initial incident, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, denouement.
Very good.
There you go. Look it up. There's lots of that. Anyway, Tom, thank you very much indeed. What else is out, please?
Well, on the subject of the new normal.
Yes.
Normal.
Oh, is it new?
It is. It's
Excellent.
new. And it's called Normal. So after Nobody and Nobody 2, for Nobody 2, I interviewed Bob Odenkirk for this very show. In that, Bob Odenkirk played, kind of apparently ordinary Joe, who was in fact a killing machine. Now we have another dark comedy actioner in which Bob Odenkirk plays an apparently ordinary Joe, who in fact turns out to be quite the person. So this is written again by John Wick creator Derek Kolstad, who apparently wrote the original script, or a version of the original script for this before doing the Nobody films, on which he and Odenkirk collaborated, and then Odenkirk now gets a story or a co-writing credit on this. So I think he had a lot of input into it. So basically, there's a touch of Fargo about it, and there's a touch of Hot Fuzz about it. So Bob Odenkirk is Ulysses, who is this sort of stand-in sheriff who goes to the inappropriately named town of Normal, Minnesota. They need a new sheriff. They need somebody to stand in until they get the new sheriff in. So he's just filling in. One of the first things that happens is he sees a moose, and everyone says, "Oh, the moose is really important. It's a really famous moose around here. It's a figure of some legend." He also sees a sign which says that they have recently raised $16.8 million for the town hall, and he goes, "Wow. How did you raise $16.8 million? Somebody says, well, the community really came together on that one. So the townsfolk have got this kind of, homespun, mum's apple pie thing, kind of cutesiness, but they're also like the townsfolk in Blazing Saddles, that they are, there's a side to them. However, as with Hot Fuzz, and this is the Hot Fuzz connection, behind the apparent, it's a nice town, there's a whole other thing going on for the greater good, into which our central character stumbles. Here is a scene in which he is welcomed into the town by the mayor, played by none other than Henry Winkler.
Okay, good.
I want to thank you for coming. Of course. So let me get this straight. Did I hear you saw the moose?
I did. I got a picture of it.
God damn. I am the only one in this town who has never seen that moose. And I keep an eye out for it. You know, in Native American culture, the moose is a symbol of endurance and survival. So, what do you think of our little town?
It's charming.
Yeah. You know, I hear that you are a very laid-back kind of guy, not a crack-the-whip sort.
Is the moose loose about the house?
Yes.
Lord Rockingham's 11.
Very good. Well done for getting that in. So, essentially, when he says you're not a crack-the-whip guy, he's basically saying, you might be the guy we're looking for, somebody who's willing to play along with whatever it is that's going on in this town that enables them to raise 16.8 million for the town hall. And then there is a snowstorm and a power outage, and suddenly our central character finds himself in the middle of exploding events in which it's every man for himself. So I interviewed Bob Odenkirk on stage just earlier on this week, and he said this interesting thing, which was, he said, of all the characters that he's played, I mean, obviously Saul Goodman and the central character in the Nobody films, he said this is the one that is most like him, because in Nobody, the gag is that the guy he's a sort of retired super spy who's got all these abilities. He said, but in this, he's just full of flaws and full of weaknesses. So when everything starts kicking off, you do get the impression that he actually might get hurt and then he actually might not survive. And that is true. The film is directed by Ben Wheatley. Now, I'm a big Ben Wheatley fan, and it relates, I think, most specifically to a Ben Wheatley film, which a lot of people have forgotten about, called Free Fire, which is this kind of sort of shoot 'em up in a warehouse, in which Ben Wheatley said this interesting thing. He said the problem with most movies which have violence in them is that they forget the things that actually make the audience wince. And he was talking about...
Wasn't talking about the John Denver soundtrack, was he?
The John Denver soundtrack. Well done for remembering that.
I interviewed him for it, so...
Wow. Yeah.
There was a period when every film
had John Denver,
because his music had suddenly become available copyright.
Yeah. So. But he was talking about the kind of comic thing about, when an anvil falls on somebody, go dang, and he said, and it's that thing about, if you get your fingernail banged, then that's the thing that really hurts. And in the case of this, when it all explodes, and that is actually the phrase that Bob Odenkirk used, it goes along and then suddenly everything explodes. It works really well because Ben Wheatley understands the mechanics of how to make those sequences. On the one hand, there's a lot of kind of slapstick about it, and there is that sort of dang cartoon thing, but there is also you feel the whacks, and you feel, the bangs and the dangs and the dings because of the way that he directs, because he's a really, really sort of visceral, physical director. And the result is, I thought it was riotously entertaining. I love Bob Odenkirk anyway. He's got that kind of dour, sort of miserablest resting face that we've all come to love. I mean, I loved Better Call Saul, obviously. I think you did too, didn't you?
Yep.
And he's just a great screen presence. And it's amazing that he has gone from that into basically developing this career in action movies. But this worked particularly well for me because it starts, it plays up, it's got the setup, then there's a sort of, where is this going? And then it all goes full on Ben Wheatley. And it was just really enjoyable. And right now, it was interesting. Olivia Colman was saying this, just, you turn on the news and we need a movie that celebrates kindness in the case of Jimpa. I think we also need a movie that celebrates a bunch of people throwing axes at each other and blowing cars up. And frankly, that's what you get in Normal. You get all the deadpan stuff that I like, and then you get all the Ben Wheatley chaos that I like. And it just romped along. And I say this in a really, really good way. It is properly a popcorn movie, but it's got its feet on the ground because Ben Wheatley knows how to do physical, and Bob Odenkirk knows how to stick with this character, because there's interesting stuff going on. And it's got Henry Winkler in it, who's just great in everything.
And a loose moose about
the Who's.
So that's it for this week. This has been a Sony Music Entertainment production. This week's team, Jen, Eric, Josh, Scarlett and Dom, the redactor, Simon Paul. And if you're not following the pod already, please do so wherever you get your podcasts. Come and join us on Patreon. Mark, what is your film of the week?
This is really, really difficult because I like all three movies that we have. So I'm going to say my film of the week is The Christophers and Normal and Obsession. The Normal Christophers Obsession.
I'm not sure that counts. But anyway, very good. How fantastic to have three.
What a week. What a week.
3 films of the week. We'll be back.
And remember, Jimpa coming up review in Take 2.
We'll be back next week with Leo Woodall talking about his new movie, which is called Tuna, as in Tuner. It's not about fish. I think I'll bestow a year's Ultra membership to our correspondent of the week. Well, why don't we give it to Tom Deller in Grantham? That's Grantham in Lincolnshire. For explaining about Freiberg's Pyramid or whatever it was.
Yeah.
If you'd like a little bit more after Take 1, head over to Take 2, where we dive into invented words for feelings you didn't know you had, gently pedant our way through the misuse of the word fulsome, although I might disagree with that, argue about lo-fi cinema and CGI excess, wrestle with empathy on screen, debate opera versus musicals, shed unexpected tears over Monsters, Inc., and ask whether parody can kill an entire genre. There's folk horror, folk wisdom, and folk from Exeter, Birmingham, Brittany and beyond in Take 2. Ka-ching. Available now for subscribers. Head over to Patreon and join in the fun.